All right, welcome. If you're watching this, you've found your way to a pretty dangerous place, the Labyrinth of Time. Now, this isn't a history lesson. Think of it as a survival guide. The corridors here are twisting, the night feels way too long, and trust me, at every single crossroads, there are traps laid for people who aren't paying attention. To get through this maze, you have to understand who built it, and more importantly, why. So let's get started. And this, right here, is the rotten core of it all. The entire labyrinth was built on this one seductive, incredibly dangerous idea: that you can have all the power you want with zero consequences, that you can have the appearance of greatness without the substance. It's this belief that if you can just control what people see, you can somehow escape the hard work, the burden of actually being a good person. This one thought is the foundation for every trap and every monster you're about to face.
So where did a place like this even come from? Well, we're going to follow two stories, two cautionary tales. First, there was a humble shepherd who stumbled upon a golden ring that, get this, made him invisible. And second, there was a jester and a wizard who found a simple wooden stage and somehow turned it into a grand, dazzling illusion. Both of them were looking for a shortcut, a way to bypass what they called the king's order. You know, the basic laws of cause and effect. And spoiler alert, they both ended up in the exact same terrifying place.
Okay, so look at this. These are the two primary tools of deception we're talking about. On one side, you've got the shepherd's ring. Simple, right? It gives you physical invisibility. It hides you from the world, letting you do whatever you want without being seen. But on the other side, you have the jester's stage. And this is a much more subtle, much more dangerous weapon. It creates a psychological illusion, this shimmering fog they called ignis fatuus, which literally means foolish fire. Its job is to hide the world from you. See the difference? One lets you escape judgment. The other lets you rewrite reality itself.
To survive in this place, you absolutely have to recognize the arsenal being used against you. And we're not talking about swords or shields here. These are weapons that target your mind, your spirit. Let's break down the traps that are laid out at every single turn.
The very first weapon you're going to run into is something called weaponized prose. Just picture language as this powerful, rushing river. Well, the jester unleashes it not to actually communicate, but to trap you. It weaves what's called a web of false intimacy, and it's designed to make you feel this deep connection to the manipulator, to make you trust him, even as he's leading you further and further into the maze.
And while you're caught in that web, feeling all that false trust, he hits you with this, the catechism of the scutcheon. This is a direct assault on your values, on everything you believe in. It makes fun of honor, of duty, of integrity, calling them all mere words. The whole point is to strip you of your psychological armor, to leave you exposed, cynical, and believing that in the end, nothing really matters anyway.
And then there's this last one, the verse of command. This is where the very structure of speech becomes a cage. It's a disciplined hypnotic rhythm, like a drum beat or a chant, that acts as a kind of psychic harness. It's designed to completely bypass your critical thinking and just guide your emotions, pulling you along a path that's already been chosen for you, leading you straight into spiritual enslavement without you ever even feeling the leash.
So what happens when all these illusions actually work? What crawls out of the shadows that they create? Well, this is where the labyrinth stops being a maze and starts being a hunting ground. Because these deceptions, they don't just stay in your head. Oh no. They give birth to very, very real monsters. And here it is. This is probably the most terrifying truth about the labyrinth. The monsters, they aren't from somewhere else. They're not invaders. These predatory night creatures are born from the very people trapped inside with you. Remember that web of false intimacy? Well, it festers, it rots, and it turns neighbors into demons, transforming an entire community into a pack of predators driven by nothing but their own unchecked appetite. And who do these creatures prey on? Well, they prey on the hollowed-out puppets. These are the poor souls who have completely given up their inner compass. They've lost their connection to reason, to what's called the true thing, that core of primal honesty inside all of us. They just wander the corridors in this state of unproductive stagnation, like empty vessels, just waiting to be consumed.
And all of this reveals a critical truth. These monsters on the outside, the night creatures, the puppets, they all come from an internal source. The real horror of the labyrinth isn't the maze itself. It's a fundamental failure deep inside the human soul.
This chart just illustrates the central conflict perfectly, something Socrates pointed out a long, long time ago. You have two choices. There's the tyrant's choice.
Let appetite, all your base desires, run wild. This creates a disharmony of the soul, and it ultimately makes you a slave, just like the shepherd who became a king but was really trapped in a thresher of his own making. Or you can take the survivor's path. Let reason be your guide. This cultivates harmony and makes you the master of your own spirit.
This argument from Glaucon, this is the philosophical poison that waters every twisted root in the labyrinth. It's that little whisper in your ear that says, come on, being good is an inconvenience. It's a burden you only carry because you're afraid of getting caught. The entire stage of counterfeits was built just to prove this cynical, toxic point of view.
But here's the thing about illusions. No matter how grand they are, they can't last forever. Every unnaturally long night has to face the dawn eventually. And in the labyrinth, that dawn has a name: the Great Clock. Shh. Listen. That's the sound that shatters the whole dream. It's not some grand explosion, not at first. It's just a simple, heavy, metallic clink. It's the sound of duty. The sound of reality finally, inevitably reasserting itself against a world of lies. And once that clink is heard, the collapse is fast. That old warning from Socrates about reason and appetite finally starts to echo through the halls. The great clock strikes, shattering the illusion. The alchemical foundations of the theater state prove to be unstable and just ignite. And in that moment, that shimmering, beautiful ignis fatuus transforms into a terrible crown of flame, consuming the jester, the wizard, the puppets, the night creatures, everyone. In the end, there's nothing left but a charred circle and some ghostly tittering in the ruins. The story of the shepherd and the jester is a dark one, yeah? It's a map of a ruined city. But it is also your key to survival. From their catastrophic failure, we can actually build the tools you need to navigate the crossroads that are waiting for you up ahead. So these are the tools you have to carry with you. First, you need the compass of reason to make sure your spirit, not your hunger, is in charge. Second, you need the lantern of the true thing. That's your gut-level, primal honesty that can cut through any foolish fire they throw at you. And finally, the armor of virtue. This is where we flip Glaucon's argument on its head and understand that justice isn't some burden to be avoided. It's the very source of your strength.
Look, the labyrinth is always being rebuilt. Its traps are always being reset. But now, you know its secrets, you know its weapons, and you know its fatal flaw. You have the guide. The next crossroads is yours to face. So the only question left is, what are you going to build from the ruins?